Logocrons, the god of creation, sits atop his throne of starfire, his beard flowing like a river of cosmic dust. He gazes upon the swirling chaos of the nascent universe, and with a flick of his wrist, he wills the various lesser gods into existence. There is Nyx, the goddess of night, shrouded in a cloak of shadow, and Helios, the god of day, whose golden armor reflects the brilliance of 1,000 suns. Logocrons chuckles, his voice echoing through the cosmos. He sees the potential in these fledgling gods, a spark of raw power that needs only to be honed. He crafts Gaia, the goddess of earth, with hands that can shape mountains and valleys, and Ethra, the goddess of mystery, whose laughter stirs the wind. These gods are his children court, his legacy, and he entrusts them to bring order to the chaos. With a wave of his hand, Logocrons calls for Thanatos, the god of death, his grim visage edged with a profound stillness. Thanatos is the balance to life, the necessary end that brings renewal. Beside him, he forms Eros, the god of love, whose eyes shimmer with the promise of passion and creation. Logocrons watches his children cut intact, witnessing the ebb and flow of their powers, the intricate dance of life and death, love and destruction. This is his masterpiece, his universe, and it is in their hands now. Helios, the god of day, basks in the warmth of his own creation, his golden armor shimmering as he surveys the sprawling expanse of the sun-darkened plains. He revels in the power he wields, the life he brings forth with every sunrise, but a flicker of doubt begins to cloud his radiant smile. He sees the darkness encroaching on the edges of his realm, the shadow of Nyx, his sister, creeping ever closer. Helios yearns to bathe the world in eternal light to banish the encroaching darkness, but he knows that Nyx's power is as intrinsic to the universe as his own. The two are intertwined, each a necessary counterpart to the other, but as he watches the world below him, he notices a new location on the horizon, a shimmering portal pulsing with a strange energy. Intrigued, Helios sets his gaze upon the portal, the heat of the sun focusing into a single, piercing beam. He feels a pull, an irresistible call, doctoring him towards the unknown. Helios senses that this portal holds the key to a greater understanding, a deeper connection to the universe, and, with a resolute gleam in his eyes, he steps through it, leaving behind the world he knows. Helios emerges from the portal, his golden armor reflecting the strange, emerald light that bathes this new world. He finds himself in a lush, tropical jungle, the air thick with the scent of exotic flowers and the calls of unseen creatures. This place pulsates with a raw, untamed energy, a stark contrast to the ordered beauty of the plains he left behind. Helios stumbles upon a clearing, where a group of beings gather around a massive, glowing tree. They are all humanoid, but their skin is a vibrant green, and their eyes glow with an inner light. He approaches cautiously, his hand resting upon the hilt of his sun-fed sword, ready to defend himself if necessary. The leader of this group, a woman named Sylvette, steps forward, her emerald eyes narrowed in suspicion. She introduces herself as the leader of the Emerald Guardians, protectors of this world. As Helios explains his origin and his purpose, he feels a prickle of unease. A tall, muscular figure named Dr. Oxen, his skin a darker emerald than the others, seems to be radiating a hidden animosity. Dr. Oxen has a tattoo of a snake wrapping around his arm, a symbol of Nyx's power. Helio feels a sudden pang of suspicion. This Dr. Oxen, he realizes with a chill, has been sent by Nyx to infiltrate the Emerald Guardians, and he has been playing the role of protector all along. Eros, the god of love, watches from the heavens as a great tragedy unfolds on the earth below. The vibrant emerald jungle, once teeming with life, is now consumed by a fiery inferno. The Emerald Guardians, their once vibrant green skins scorched and blackened, fight valiantly against the encroaching darkness. Helio, surrounded by a halo of light, battles Dr. Oxen, his fiery sword clashing against the Emerald Warrior's blade. Eos feels a pang of sorrow for the Emerald Guardians, their world ravaged by the forces of darkness, and for Helio, who has dedicated his life to spreading light, but he is powerless to intervene directly, for his power lies in love and creation, not destruction. As the battle rages on, a shriek tears through the air. Sylvie, the leader of the Emerald Guardians, falls to the ground, her emerald skin fading to grey as she succumbs to Dr. Oxen's betrayal. Eos mourns the loss of Sylvie, her spirit extinguished like a candle in the wand. This was a life cut short, a beautiful world tainted by the darkness. He knows that he must act. He can no longer stand idly by as darkness consumes the world. He will unleash his power. even if it means defying Lobocrons himself. He will bring love and hope to this ravaged world, even if it costs him everything. Ethra, the goddess of mischief, feels a tremor in the fabric of the universe, a shift in the balance of power. She senses the sorrow and anger emanating from Eros, a storm brewing within the god of love. She knows that something terrible has happened. A darkness has encroached upon the world, threatening to consume it. She gathers her wind-fragile wings, ready to intervene. Ethra descends upon the burning jungle, a whirlwind of wine swirling around her. She sees the battle raging below, the Emerald Guardians struggling against the relentless darkness. Dr. Oxen, the serpent-smitter traitor, stands victorious over Helio, his emerald skin glowing with a sinister power. Helio, his golden armor dimmed, lies on the ground, his life force stopped draining away. Ethra screams in rage, a blast of wine knocking Dr. Oxen off his feet. She swoops down to Helio, her hands glowing with the power of healing, but it is too late. The darkness has consumed Helio, leaving only a lifeless shell. Ethra mourns the loss of her brother, his radiant spirit extinguished by the encroaching darkness. She vows to avenge him, to bring Dr. Oxen to justice, even if it means defying the very gods themselves. So that, though her physical form has been extinguished, finds herself tethered to the world by an ethereal thread of energy. Her consciousness is trapped in a swirling vortex of emotions, the pain of betrayal and the agony of her dying will. She sees Dr. Oxen, his emerald skin now a sickly shade of grey, his eyes glowing with the power of Nyx. He backs in the darkness, his victory fleeting and hollow. She sees Ethra, her sister in spirit, consumed by grief and fury, her wind-fragile wings beating against the oppressive darkness. Silver feels a surge of sympathy for Ethra, her own rage echoing within her. She understands the pain of losing a loved one, the primal desire for vengeance. As Dr. Oxen raises his hand, preparing to deliver a final, devastating blow to Ethra, Silver finds her voice. She speaks not with words but with the raw power of her spirit, a message carried on the wind. She reveals Dr. Oxen's betrayal, his allegiance to Nyx, his true purpose to destroy the Emerald Guardians and bring darkness to the world. A flicker of doubt crosses Dr. Oxen's face. Then, with a roar of defiance, he turns his emerald gaze upon Silver. He vows to end her, to silence her forever. But as he does, he sees a reflection of himself in her eyes, a vision of the future he has created. He sees the world consumed by darkness, a desolate wasteland devoid of life, and he sees, in his mind's eye, the true path, the path of light and hope. Helio awakens, his vision blurry, his body heavy with the weight of darkness. He is no longer in the emerald jungle, but in a stark, obsidian palace, the walls echoing with the whispers of forgotten souls. He finds himself bound by chains, a thick black energy pulsing through his veins, a constant reminder of Nyx's power. He feels a presence, a chilling whisper in the back of his mind, and realizes with a jolt that Dr. Oxen, the traitorous Emerald Guardian, now stands before him. Dr. Oxen, his eyes now glowing with a sinister green light, mocks Helio, his voice a rasping echo in the obsidian chamber. He tells Helio that he has been chosen by Nyx, that he is now a servant of the darkness, a weapon to be wielded against the remaining forces of light. Helio struggles against his chains, fueled by a burning rage. He will not be controlled. He will not become a tool of darkness. Helio feels a surge of power within him, a spark of light resisting the encroaching darkness. He focuses on this power, his will hardening into a defiant ember. He summons the last vestiges of his sunford strength, and with a blinding flash, breaks free from his chains. He turns his gaze upon Dr. Oxen, his eyes now burning with the fury of 1,000 suns. The battle is not over, and the fight for the fate of the world is about to begin anew. Gath, the goddess of the earth, feels the tremors of conflict echoing through her domain. She senses the struggle between light and darkness, the whispers of Nyx and the desperate cries of those fighting against her. She has witnessed the rise and fall of many empires, the ebb and flow of power. But this is different. This is a fight for the very soul of the world, a battle that could reshape the very fabric of existence. Guy feels a pang of sadness for her beloved emerald jungle, now consumed by fire. It is a wound on her soul, a scar that reminds her of the fragility of life and the destructive nature of darkness. She knows she cannot stand idly by. She must act to protect her creation. She gathers her strength, preparing to intervene. Guy descends upon the obsidian palace, a radiant emerald figure against the stark darkness. She sees Helio, his eyes blazing with righteous anger, battling against Dr. Oxen. The two clash. Their power is a tempest of light and shadow. But as Guy watches, Dr. Oxen summons a blast of black energy, a torrent of corrupted power. It strikes you, the light fading from his eyes, his body collapsing to the ground. Guy screams in grief, a wave of rage washing over her. Helio, her son, the protector of light, is gone. Logocrons, the god of time, sits atop his obsidian throne, his gaze fixed upon the swelling vortex of chaos that is the battle between light and darkness. He sees the fall of Helio, the devastating blow delivered by Dr. Oxen, a wound that tears through the very fabric of time. He watches as Gaia, consumed by grief and fury, prepares to unleash her wrath upon the obsidian palace, her rage threatening to reshape the very landscape of the world. Logocrons knows that the balance of power is shifting, that the world is teetering on the precipice of destruction. Logocrons has observed the unfolding Dr. Ahmed, his gaze encompassing centuries, his perspective spanning the entire timeline. He knows that the forces of darkness have been gathering, their power growing, their ambitions reaching across the eons, and he has watched as Dr. Oxen, once a protector of light, succumbed to the allure of Nyx's darkness. Logocrons whispers a word of power, a single syllable that echoes through the halls of time. He calls upon his greatest creation, the temporal tear, a portal that allows him to reach beyond the confines of time itself. He steps through the shimmering veil, a ripple in the fabric of existence, ready to intervene in the unfolding chaos. He appears before Dr. Oxen, his presence a whirlwind of shifting shadows. He sees the flicker of doubt in Dr. Oxen's eyes, the lingering vestiges of the light within. He reaches out, his hand a conduit of time, offering Dr. Oxen a choice to embrace the darkness, or to return to the light. Dr. Oxen stands frozen, the offer of redemption from Logocrons echoing through the obsidian palace. He sees the darkness that has consumed him, the corruption that festers in his soul, the cruelty that he has inflicted upon the world. He sees the agony in Gaia's eyes, the devastation he has wrought. He sees the path he has chosen, and it is not the one he desired. He wants to be good, to be a protector, not a destroyer. He hears the voice of Nyx, her whispers urging him to resist, to embrace the darkness that has become his new master. But Dr. Oxen feels a spark of hope, a flicker of the light he once possessed. He looks at Gaia, at her grief, at her love for him, and he makes his decision. Dr. Oxen turns, his gaze fixed upon Nyx, his voice a defiant roar. He rejects her, renounces her power, and embraces the light once more. But as he does so, a wave of dark energy strikes him, a final, desperate attack from Nyx. Dr. Oxen falls, his body consumed by the darkness, his life force extinguished. Gaia cries out in grief, her pain echoing through the palace, a wave of sorrow that shakes the very foundations of the world.